Welcome to the weekend must-watch on Intercut, where we wade our way through the latest in theaters, streaming, and on-demand. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, as excited as the dudes from John Wilson for Avatar 2, it's Arturo Zurita.
I was thinking about them during this
They
moment
must
that
be so
there was so many
happy.
dude, we were in a theater. I don't know about you because I think you got the invite as well, where they were actually playing it
Mhm.
over and over and over again before the screening for Doctor Strange. So we get to see that bad boy, I think 6, 7 times. We were levitating by the 10th time that they were playing this trailer in 3D, of course.
Yeah.
It is out now fully, so if anybody hasn't seen it, you now have the privilege of going to go see the new Avatar trailer that we'll talk about for a bit. But yeah, 3D made its comeback this week, man. 3D IMAX was the place to be. Now that the movie season's kicking off yet again in May, but
Yeah, I didn't
I,
catch. I didn't get to catch Doctor Strange in 3D too, but it felt like for a while people weren't talking about 3D. Maybe 3D's time had passed, but it's definitely looking
that
for some
surcharge,
kind of comeback. Yeah,
the
got it.
producers want it
They gotta fund those Avatar sequels somehow.
somehow. Yeah.
So yeah, of course, big events in movie theaters to discuss. A whole bunch of stuff that we're going to discuss. It's a light week in terms of what we've been watching, but that doesn't mean that there's not interesting things to talk about. So let's start it off with what we're watching. And think there's no better way than exactly what you started with. Man, Avatar 2 on the big screen. What an experience. I don't know if everybody got to have that experience. I mean, if you went to Doctor Strange and didn't show up late, you probably had that experience, right? It's interesting. I wanted to grab this tweet that I found. So shout out to whoever it was. Sorry to be plagiarizing you. But it said that James Cameron missed the window for a sequel so hard that it's come around as full nostalgia, and it's so funny to see the way that this is movie that I think a lot of people have referred to as a joke mostly over the past 5 years or so is now getting this like full-hearted embrace again. Everybody is ready to go back to Pandora, man.
I think he's a genius, dude. The first time he released this movie, it was a post-recession, was 2010.
Mm-hmm.
People were going crazy for just being in a theater. He was able to maximize IMAX tickets. He was able to maximize 3D tickets. He made sure all those screens. He was pulling that Disney game before Fox went to Disney. And then he timed it perfectly so that worldwide audiences not only had access to it, but the way this man looks at the dollar. He's looking at currency to see what he's going to make the most back. I think you're right. I think he's looking at that Pixar deal, seeing how they use nostalgia, and he's like, all it takes is 10 years. All right, I got the technology anyway, right? Let nostalgia now be a new thing that could be added into the box office numbers. Look, it's a simple trailer.
Yeah.
In 3D, it's really cool. I hope you get the chance to see it in 3D, Zach. Because they gave us the glasses, and then they're like, all right, now it's time for Multiverse of Madness. Go put them back. I'm like, okay. It's nice and short. There's only one piece of dialogue.
I saw some people being like, James Cameron invented the teaser trailer. Like calm down a little bit. It's
he reinvented it.
It's pretty exciting, but it's not a reinvention of cinema as we know it yet.
Invent the wheel, Zach. You just got to perfect it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't necessarily quite as hype as like a lot of people I've seen on the trailer. Like, obviously it's stunning, and I think one of the great things going for it is the kind of like CGI mud of Marvel movies for the past 12 or so years, and just the contrast between what you get CGI wise from most major blockbusters and what you're getting here is so different. The water is unreal, and it's beautifully done. So, I'm curious to see what it will really feel like when we get to experience the full thing. But yeah, it's just a teaser, I don't. It's exciting, but I'm not gonna flip out over one line of dialogue.
3D looks great, and I'm very interested to see if he's got something else up his sleeve for the release.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to him. He's got the technology that he says he's going to push, but when you look at the release schedule they had at CinemaCon. It was interesting to see the timeline between 2022 and 23, and they have Avatar smack dab in the middle. I don't know if that's them saying they're going to have a crazy rollout, or they're just like, yeah, the box office, ours. From the end of this year until next year, ours. I'm excited to see what Jimmy's got up his sleeve. I don't
Absolutely.
doubt the man. He's the blockbuster king.
The only real thing that came out in theaters was Doctor Strange 2. You know, everybody cleared a path for Disney, including movie theaters that were playing this thing like every 15 minutes or so. It's the biggest movie in the world. We are going to get into it fully in an after credits with some spoilers and stuff after we wrap our weekend must watch. So stay tuned on the channel here. But Art, I don't know if you want to just mention anything briefly before we keep going.
It is good to see Marvel allow directors to be directors, is what I keep saying for this one. It's not the first one. You know, a lot of people were like, oh, we've had inklings of it with what Chloe was doing, with, you know, what Ryan Coogler tried to bring. But I think it's because people know Sam Raimi so well that it juxtaposed the Marvel formula so much. We'll get to that in our spoiler section. But revisiting it and having seen it in 3D and in IMAX, I could thumbs up on the IMAX. It is IMAX the entire way through. That was very nice to see. And I think it really adds a lot to a lot of the images. We will be having a discussion on the CGI later as well. And I think this is one of those movies where, because it is shot with the idea of 3D in mind already, you are watching a 2D version that is not the original intent, in my opinion. Doctor Strange, the first one, was also probably one of the best Marvel movies that was in 3D. And I'd say that the 3D enhances it so much, because there are shots that are in 2D that feel so wonky and out of place. And you're not realizing that, well, they meant that with the whole illusion in place for there to be that depth. And I think it helps a lot of scenes, a lot of fight sequences, and a lot of the multiverse travel. Still don't think it's the best writing, but I'm curious your thoughts, Zach, as someone who doesn't care about having to have seen Loki, having to have seen WandaVision, having to have seen Doctor Strange 1 maybe, and all the other ones in order to be able to understand every concept in this movie. Technically, never mind, I'm going to leave some of the other stuff. There's a lot of cameos that you would also have needed to have seen previous things.
Needed.
Did you enjoy the Sam Raimi?
Needed.
Imperative, Zach.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I think there are flaws with this film that are, very apparent when you watch it. But I think the ways in which I didn't like Doctor Strange 2 are the ways in which I don't like a lot of these movies. And a lot of these other movies don't have the moments of like filmmaking craft and genuine creativity and just off the wall ideas that this movie had. There's just some zaniness in there, some really fun horror comedy, and some genuinely like cool moments that are shot well and told with a visual clarity that I don't find present in a lot of blockbuster or Marvel movies. So yeah, to me, this is definitely an elevation of the formula, if that's what you want to call it. Definitely not like a perfect movie, but entertaining. I had a fun time with it.
3.5, bro. That's big for you. That's damn near a masterpiece when it comes to MCU on your scale.
We'll get into that more.
We'll get into
very
it.
soon.
Zach, I have one question for you though, before we move on. Is it a Doctor Strange movie, or is it a Wanda movie?
Well, I think this is a Doctor Strange movie in the exact same way that Civil War is a Captain America movie.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Because Civil War is not a Cap movie either.
Yeah.
I was rooting for Cap, but it was not a Cap movie.
Exactly.
All right, we have a lot of spoilers to discuss after the fact, so hopefully y'all stick around for it.
Cool. Let's go to streaming, where we got a new Marmaduke movie. I don't know if we needed one. I don't know if we want one now that it's here. It does not seem that the people on Letterboxd enjoyed this one either. Art, you gave some thoughts last week because I was under embargo. I can say now that this is just maybe the ugliest feature film that I've ever seen. I mean, yeah, there's some real low rent, like food fight type of stuff out there, but not released by like a major distributor in this way, starring Pete Davidson, who's like ostensibly a big movie star. He also sounds so disinterested here. Like I swear that some of these lines were done just on the first take, like as he was on his way to go do something else. He is so not giving anything to this performance, as is the animation. The animation is so bad. It's so stiff. Like, I feel like they're often going in lines rather than like towards the direction, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it's rather than go diagonally, they go like straight and then to the right because they're just that stiffly put together. I don't know, man.
It's
Very
vile.
cheap movie, very bad movie, very stupid movie. Only parents who hate their kids would put this one on.
It's disgusting. I don't know how they got the yellow M&M to come do a voice here. J.K. Simmons is so much better at voice acting to be doing something so horrendous. The animation in here looks like the previs that you see in the special features of a DVD.
Literally.
This thing is disgusting. I've seen storyboards with more fluidity than what they had in this movie. The storyline has to be one of the dumbest storylines, and they had the gall to mention the boy Scooby-Doo in this. Then steal his animation over a Pete Davidson freestyle? What did you want to call that thing at the end, Zach?
I hope it was a freestyle, because if that's pre-written,
what was that?
Literally the worst rap I've ever heard. It is so lazy. I don't know, man. This is just the bottom dollar version of entertainment. I feel bad for kids who are gonna have this put in front of them and not know any better. There's like maybe just enough fart jokes that a young mind would be led astray, and I hope there are better people out there to prevent them from having to embrace the world of Marmaduke 2022.
Netflix said they fired the animators, and yeah, it's very clear, very clear, very bad.
Oh my god.
Worst movie of the week, contender for worst movie of the year.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if I see a worst movie this year, honestly. I mean, seriously, have you seen a worse looking feature animated film?
It's not just that it's badly drawn, bro, or whatever you want to call it. These are like rigs that they just bought off of like a template site. It is that what they make them do is atrocious. It's the concept of the animation that they're even going for that is just disgusting.
It's also like vaguely racist in parts. Like that shows how bad it is that this is like the fifth bullet point. But
you talking about the one dog who like knew kung fu? Because that threw me for a loop. We also couldn't stop staring at his droopy lips. Why y'all gotta animate Marmaduke's lips, bro? Don't do that ever again. Don't do that for any upcoming animation, or don't even think about doing that.
Nah.
It's terrible. It's bad.
All right. Let's go to The Takedown, a hopefully better version of a Netflix movie that was in the top 10. Art, I didn't get around to this one, so tell me a little about it.
There was 3 new movies that made it, I believe, into their top 10 charts as I searched them up here. One of them, I don't know how, was Marmaduke. I know this one was in the top 3 somewhere, along with one of the new romance movies that's out. But one of the things about this movie that I enjoyed was that it's one of the, I would say, the old school 2-hour just like action blockbuster buddy cop movies that you would get, where you have 2 dudes who, one of them nobody likes, Omar Sy, who I think is a very good actor, gets recruited because he's so into the missions that he goes on to kind of be the face of the police department that they have because they need new PR. And he's like, I know exactly what you guys are doing, and no, but I'm going to take the raise. I'm going to take the position. And it becomes this like buddy cop thing where they're facing these criminals who are very racist. So they play along with a lot of these, I don't even want to call them double entendres, but it's pretty much a mixture between boomer humor and millennials. And it tries to like blend all of them together with the interactions of what they're going through and the niceties and such. I'd say this is a movie to probably watch with your dad. They've dubbed it in every language, so you don't even have to see it in its original French if you didn't want to. But out of all the movies that Netflix came out with this week, out of all the movies that came out in streaming this week that were new, I'd say The Takedown was the best one. Does it need to be 2 hours? No, but I thought the action sequences were decent enough. And if you've given the time of day to, what is it, 6 Underground?
Right.
Spencer, this is better than those.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a great movie, but this is better than those. If we're going to continue making streaming action movies, I'd rather it be closer to this and the other stuff. Not a great movie, but a little bit better than the rest.
Yeah, at least you get some Omar Sy in there. He's a good actor.
He's good.
Yeah. All right, seems interesting enough. What about The Twin? Tell me a little bit about that one.
Okay. The Twin is not a great movie either. It's playing over on Shudder. It had its theatrical release as well, and I believe on VOD. I kind of liked it. So pretty much it's a story about a duo of parents, or just parents who lost a child who was one of the twins. As they move, they may still be haunted by that dead twin child who may want to take over the living twin. Basic kind of creepy child twin story.
Every
but I
parent's
thought
worst nightmare.
they threw every parent's worst nightmare. But I thought they threw a couple of good spins in there. I thought that there was some elements that were pretty spooky. Just I think twin children are some of the scariest things out there, and I know that just means I'm probably gonna have twins someday.
So does Stanley Kubrick.
I just know it. But I think Teresa Palmer does a good job in the horror movies that she's in. I think she does a decent job here. And while the plot doesn't progress perfectly, I thought it was interesting where they took the story. So I would recommend it only because it's on streaming and on Shudder. That I would say give it a watch.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if it's easy enough to watch, and particularly for the Shudder crowd, who kind of, if you're a subscriber of Shudder, you know what's out there, and sometimes you just need a little bit of innovation in the horror genre to get you somewhere fun. So that sounds fun enough. I mean, there's limited pickings outside of Doctor Strange right now. You gotta find what they offer you.
They knew people weren't going to be home either. That's crazy.
Exactly. You kind of gotta look to the past, maybe to some movies that are already out or on their second round or whatever. We have talked about Language Lessons in the past, which already did a round in theaters and on VOD, but it is available on HBO Max now, which means that a whole bunch of people are finding it. I see my likes on my Letterboxd review going up, which is always a sign that it's on a new streaming service. I'm glad to bring this one up again because I thought it was a very lovely movie. I don't know off the top of my head if I can say that this is my favorite of the clearly made in COVID lockdown movies, but it's at least in the top 3 or 5. A very, very charming friend romantic comedy that we still don't have a good name for the genre of that, I think. But it's got very charismatic actors in Natalie Morales and Mark Duplass. I particularly like Natalie Morales. I think she's just very lovely in this role, and this is kind of her co-directorial debut because she kind of did 2 movies and lockdown at once. But I like this one a lot, and especially now that it's available in such an easy way, I would highly recommend people check this one out. I think you liked it too.
Yeah, the moment I saw it was on HBO, I was like, now we got to put it on the list, man. Finally, people are going to see it because you had mentioned Natalie Morales directed this movie. Mm-hmm. When they released this, because her one on Hulu came out first,
Plan B.
This could no longer be considered her directorial debut. And because it's no longer her directorial debut, she was not eligible for the right awards that she would have been. And I would highly recommend seeking out Mark Duplass's letter that he did on this. He wrote a whole letter, and I think we kind of discussed it on the podcast too, where he said he's like, the award season is very interesting because you have to play off on these boxes that you need to check. Mm-hmm. And because the dates and everything screwed and messed everything up, this movie could have been a contender and been awards worthy, but it did not check off being her first movie, and thus, boom. As a movie, it's no longer good because it doesn't fit that box.
Right.
So it's interesting that you're saying, is this its premiere? Is this its inception? It's had its festival runs that were available virtually. It's been out on VOD. It had a little bit of a theatrical run. But now it's on HBO. So would this now be considered the first run? Because it's been interesting seeing a lot of people see Netflix or just a streaming release as the actual public release. And they kind of see theaters as now being the advanced screening because you got to leave your house. So, hey, now that it's out on HBO, hopefully people give it a chance. Because I agree.
Yeah.
Really nice. Huge story.
Devesh in the live stream comments is asking, was Plan B anything? I think we talked about Plan B when it came out last year, and I think we both liked it. We thought it was charming. I like Language Lessons a bit more. I think it's a little bit more unique, but Plan B, if it's kind of got that broad teen comedy feel that's very satisfying and fun. It's a very easy watch. It's very raunchy, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for everybody, but I had a good time with Plan B as well.
I remember Plan B and Unplanned came out at the same time. It was just like the duo.
And Unpregnant also, right, was around that time.
Yeah, that was around that time too.
Yeah.
A lot of COVID babies.
Before we get into TV, do you want to take a moment and talk about the Kendrick Lamar release, the new Kendrick video, the Heart Part 5?
Talk about it, dude. Yes.
Kendrick is going to be back with did we confirm if it's a double album or just one album or whatever it is? It's new music.
He says a book. He said it's a production practically that he's doing. But Heart Part 5. Have you ever listened to the other Hearts before they came out? I was trying to explain to my brother.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, he always drops one before. We're closing in on the week, and he's like, I thought he drops one every single time. Get that notification. I said he does.
Yep.
I would highly recommend people going to go check out the previous compilations 1 through 4, which leads me to also say that yes, Section 80 was his first album, Zach. I know a lot of people like saying that it's Good Kid, Mad City, and that's another one where it helps Good Kid, Mad City be the debut album. Nah, it's Section 80 because Section 80 got a Part 1 right before. Part 5's interesting. It needs the video.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's really, really elevated by the video. I mean, I think it still works without, but the video particularly takes it to a new level. Although, like, it's a very kind of creepy vibe too, because it's got this implementation of deepfake technology in a way that is pretty innovative. Because Kendrick is obviously an extremely gifted lyricist, an extremely gifted rapper. The video starts with the quote, "I am all of us," and then through his song, he sort of weaves in the situations of different high-profile black male entertainers, and as his story starts to brush up against other people, he kind of becomes deep fakes of other people, whether that's O.J. Simpson or Kanye West or Will Smith. It's very interesting, blending of lyricism and technology, frankly. I was pretty taken aback by the video when I first saw it, but I mean, I don't know. I'm so unsettled by deepfake technology, but I find this so fascinating.
It's how he's using it, though.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah.
It's because he's making a point with it. I thought the video was done very well. I know people have come out and said, oh, he's copying this other guy who did it. And then people had to remind that other guy that MJ did it like decades ago.
Right.
So it's an interesting way to make a music video it comes off all in one long take. I think it really showcases his technical abilities. And I do think it adds to his lyrics because he's not name dropping these people within his verses.
It's not just the video, it's that it's combined with the story.
Yeah. It's performance. That's what he's saying. Yes. This whole PG Lang rollout's going to be. So Zach, I'm gonna be up at 12 o'clock on that Thursday night.
Oh, you know it. You know it.
Come on, dude.
No
the whole neighborhood's gonna be listening to it this weekend. That's for sure. So I highly, highly recommend going to go check out the Heart Part 5. He directed it as well. Check out all the other parts. I had also put on here that so far the only other thing he's previously directed is the Backstreet Freestyle video, which is also fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see his hand in a lot more stuff outside of music production.
Yeah. What's Amanda mentioning in the live stream? Trey Parker and Matt Stone were thanked in the special thanks for the Heart Part 5. Y'all know why. So there's a couple potential reasons there. The one that people are pointing to is that he's working on a movie with South Park co-creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
G. Lang's first big one.
Yeah. But also in the thanks is, what's it, Big Voodoo or something like that? I am forgetting exactly. Voodoo something, which I believe is a animation company that Trey Parker and Matt Stone are doing that uses deepfake technology. So
there you go.
That might be why. I'm not sure that's verified, the source that I got that from, but at least interesting. At least something. All right, so let's get back into what we're watching and talk about some TV. Most notably, we gotta keep going with Marvel stuff. It's all Marvel this week. Got Doctor Strange and Moon Knight coming on the same week. You know, I saw somebody saying that they think Marvel timing the finale to the same week as a movie, it takes away from the talk about the TV show. I wonder if you feel like maybe all the hype and discussion around Multiverse of Madness is drowning out some of the discussion on Moon Knight.
If you mean the discussion of how it freaking tanked, then yes, Zach, because that's probably the best thing they could have timed it for. What happened, dude?
I don't know, man.
I still love 4. I
Yeah.
hyped up 4. I think 4 still delivers and it's great. But I told you we were talking about it. I'm like, they're not going to hold it out. I was hoping for a way where this just becomes its own independent story, that Marvel realizes we have so much and we're introducing multiverses. Why can't we have universes that have just never been tampered with, that can be their own set alone little things with the Marvel logo? They're going to come at DC. They're going to have their own little one-shot stories. It's going to be great. Man, we got something way worse, dude. Like, episode 5 was really good, and I'm looking forward to rewatching it, rewatching the whole thing just as a whole for a video. What the hell was 6 doing, dude?
Yeah, man, it's a lot of like shrug emoji to me. I don't know. They just kind of didn't really want to conclude things in a way that really felt like conclusive.
They didn't want,
right?
Yeah.
Like they had a final fight. They didn't want to show it to us, but they had a final fight. It's very bizarre. Like I know they're used to doing this thing where a series will end and they'll do it in a way that's like teasing the future. But Moon Knight, they've advertised it as this like self-contained thing. There's no references to the outside Marvel stuff. You know, we don't think we're going to come back for season 2 because Oscar Isaac only wanted to sign up for this because it's a limited thing. But like,
it's on Letterboxd as a limited thing.
But it's like teased at the end. Like they tease a whole new idea at the end.
Worst after credits that we've gotten from these people, dude. One of the worst. Absolutely horrendous. We'll be talking about the Marvel one. Marvel one also had 2. One that I think you and I really like, and the other one, which was kind of felt more like this one. Moon Knight's is worse than the one in Doctor Strange. I did not care for it. I did not like it. I really wanted this to be a limited series at its bare minimum. Definitely didn't care for it to connect to the other stuff, but they just dropped the ball for the type of story they were really getting at 4 and 5, man.
Yeah, like
I don't know. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, because I don't know. I think in 4 and 5 they delve into some of the strangeness that really appeals to me, where they're almost subverting the form and like questioning what even is the point of these superhero properties, right?
Oh man, dude, the comic gets even crazier into that. But yeah, keep going.
And then they're kind of like, you want to see some more superhero stuff? Like, I don't know. It didn't land for me. I never really got into like the mythology behind it, and then they reverted back to that at the end. It didn't. It's a shame. And, you know, I don't want to take away from Mohamed Diab because I don't blame him. I think the direction during his episodes was good, but the Benson and Moorhead episodes were just so much more interesting. The writing in those episodes was so much better.
I'm gonna blame him, bro. This man came out and said he touted his stuff by saying, "You won't even believe I directed it." When in the hell is that something you want to hear from a director? You won't even know it's me. Okay, sir. You know, especially when we're talking about wanting to see the Sam Raimi flourishes, wanting to see some actual direction to be intertwined within the stuff. I know they hired him specifically because of his Egyptian roots. I don't know. I felt they could have gone deeper with that. I felt that they could have had a lot more of the character development that they were doing with the 2 for Moon Knight. And kept focusing on that. I wish it was more contained. This just feels like we're going on yet again another mission, and I feel they're gonna. I don't know. I don't want them to run it to the ground. I was really hopeful for it, dude.
Yeah, because there is cool stuff there, and ultimately, I just personally felt like by the end, the balance between the stuff that I was interested in and the stuff that I was not interested in was off. I don't know.
Oh wow, man.
I don't know.
How many of these do you think are going to be turned? We had all of these, I believe, are on Letterboxd because they're miniseries. But you know they're teasing a Wanda 2. You know they've been teasing a Loki 2. Have they confirmed that Falcon's even going to be kept?
I think they confirmed Loki. They have not confirmed that Falcon's getting a movie, I guess. I don't know.
Isn't that so weird? Because he's supposed to be kept for, but they're like, made a whole series saying we should be able to declare him this.
Didn't he come out like, oh yeah, we're going to start filming in a couple of weeks, and then Marvel was like, we are not filming in a couple of weeks.
I don't know, but to answer your initial question there, yeah, I don't think it's smart to intertwine them if they're so different. But maybe that's why it's beneficial for them, because they knew this wasn't going to hit. I don't know. They knew it wasn't going to hit, and they're like, all right, let's have people focus on this whole multiverse side. You have way too opposing things. I think if they interconnect, it's not a bad thing.
Right.
Because at this point, it is an entire ecosystem. When we talk about spoilers, there's so many of these series are integral for you to understand what's happening in the movies. I don't see it any other way.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. It just like, if it's not going to feel conclusive at the end of it, it's hard to like invest in a new one, you know?
Yep.
Anyway, did you get around to the boy Mike Myers' return, the Pentaverate?
So I saw 4.
Yeah.
And I felt like it just kept ending and was the same thing.
Yeah.
And I go online and I see you tweet that every single ending just feels like the same thing.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't have a conclusive review, Zach.
Yeah.
But with you, I think I do. This is the new Netflix parody? What do you want to call this? He's making fun of like everything in the real world that has to do with conspiracies.
Yeah, it's like a conspiracy secret society satire of sorts.
Yeah. And they recognize the Illuminati and the Masons and everything, but they're like the ones above that. You know, there's armor shields, then there's the armor piercing bullets, and then there's the armor non-piercing shields. It's a Russian nesting doll of things. You get to the point though, where as much as I love him playing all these different characters, and he's in his bag, he is playing so many different characters.
So many
different characters.
Wow.
There's sometimes where you're like, you could have just let somebody else do that, bro. Like, how many hours of makeup for this bit?
He must really love it.
I appreciate his commitment always, but I wish it was written better.
Yeah.
Some of these jokes just feel like 2013 jokes.
Thank you. Yes.
Some of these jokes feel like stuff that is meant for people who don't want to watch the show and be disproved about conspiracy theories. So you're making jokes for the crowd that you're making fun of.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because like I think the way, having seen all 6 episodes, I think the way that the series ends, I don't want to bash it too much because I think there's like a sweet intention behind a lot of what he's doing here, but it doesn't land. It just doesn't ever really land. Even the ending feels a little bit like hypocritical, given that like he's so the focus of every moment of this show. He like you said, it's so many characters, probably too many characters. There are some characters he does that are just not really that memorable in the larger scheme. I almost wish he just chose 4 or 5 and stuck to that. And yes, 4 or 5 would be reducing it a lot. Like it's so much. And then like the way that certain characters will enter and exit the show feels very abrupt and not earned, and it doesn't all add up to much. It doesn't all feel like lived in. It kind of feels all SNL sketch worthy.
Thank you. Yeah,
but
I was about to say that it's like a bunch of sketches just stitched in together.
Which means like because of Mike Myers' style, because it's just joke. There's some funny stuff in there. I definitely did laugh a little bit. I posted a ridiculous clip to my Twitter that went viral for a bunch of other people. So congratulations to them. But it's like, it's not like, I don't know, man. It's just not worth sitting with. It's exhausting because you see, it feels sweaty. No?
Yeah, I mean, they're just running Keith through it all because he's supposed to be the new person who's getting inducted into the secret society, and he just has to deal with all of these different bozos.
Yeah.
Who like don't seem to get along with each other, but like you said, because they're not meant to actually be a group, they're meant to be the talking piece for whatever specific punchline can only come from that character that he's playing.
They're characters,
and it almost feels like
more than characters.
Are you reverse engineering the punchlines and then creating the character to be that? And it feels weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't hate it, but I just felt like it wasn't really amounting to much, and maybe we were just way too hyped for it too.
That too.
Because they kept it such a secret.
Yeah, and like I did have hopes for it, and it could have been better. I feel like it could have been sharper. There's some fun stuff in there. I like the Canada's blurry joke, although they didn't have to hit it so hard. I like that he's inverting the Austin Powers censored bit, although they didn't have to hit that so hard either. Shout out to both Lydia West and Maria Menounos. Maria Menounos with some of the funniest bits in the film. Show up early for Maria Menounos, I guess. It just doesn't really. It's not. There's not enough there. Unfortunately for me. But
Oh well.
I don't know. Let's go to Winning Time, which also wrapped up its season 1 run this weekend with the first episode that actually centers on a basketball game. Pretty crazy that it took 10 episodes to really focus on the dynamics of winning and losing for the team. But that's kind of the show that this is. There's so much story here. There's so many characters. It's manic. It's all over the place stylistically and in terms of the types of stories it's trying to tell. And it maintained that energy through the end in a way that I found to be really peculiar because, as we now know, this is going to be an anthology show, but the second season is going to be, set 20 or so years in the future. So we're not really getting conclusions on these storylines in season 2 of Winning Time. We're probably not going to see, we're definitely not going to see some of these characters. Some of these characters died in the interim, but we're probably not going to see most of them. So it's interesting because, this is a snapshot of a point in history, right? You can't tell a conclusive story about Magic Johnson and end it in 1980. You can't tell the end of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's career before he ended up winning like 3 more championships. So I liked the ways in which some of it felt unresolved, but it's peculiar because TV doesn't normally give that to you. And I'm sort of caught between the idea that like this told the most story at the, most minutes per second pace that it could. It gave us so much, and the feeling that like there's a little bit of meat left on this bone and they're never going to, chew it.
I'm curious if with the decade to come, after they do the Showtime Lakers, they do like a flip-flop, almost zipper it. So they can go back to the 80s, but instead of seeing it from the Lakers perspective, you're seeing it from the Pistons, you're seeing it from the Celtics.
Right.
So then you are able to do this crazy thing of, as an anthology, bring in the characters from season 1 back in season 3.
Right.
Maybe
really
they,
cool.
they decide to cover the Bulls to some degree, and then you can see the ending of a lot of these characters' careers, but I feel you.
Yeah.
I think I am one where I would rather it go all in on one thing. It's like we were talking with the Genius talk. I'd rather it go all in on the making of the first album than to get the rest of it just skimmed through.
Exactly.
So as long as it's not skimmed through, dude, I don't see it as done.
Yeah.
That would have been worse. Is it that they just pulled a
Right.
How I Met Your Mother on that final episode, and they were like, and then this, and this happened, and you're like, no.
Yeah, I think the other thing I was really sort of surprised by is there was no epilogue. There was no like Magic Johnson would go on to win so many championships the way that a lot of these true stories are, but like it really does make it about this moment in time. It makes it about like this is the Showtime Lakers. This is how that legacy got started, and I think it's better off maybe for that, although it's just different than I expected. And in the end, there's some elements that I'm mixed on in terms of how well they were crafted, but there's just so much that I enjoyed. It's such a great piece of entertainment. I think it's one of the best TV shows I've seen so far this year. All right,
Thumbs up on that.
You watched a couple episodes of The Staircase, which is now available on HBO. It is an adaptation of the true life crime story about Michael Peterson, who his wife Kathleen Peterson died under suspicious circumstances. This one has a absolutely packed cast, including Colin Firth, Toni Collette, Michael Stuhlbarg of fame in Doctor Strange, Dane DeHaan.
Don't do him like that.
And more. Art, I haven't gotten around to The Staircase yet, but what did you think of the first couple of episodes?
You got time, and it's 8 episodes premiering on HBO on a weekly basis, and it's an original, dude. Mm-hmm. It's an original. Mm-hmm. You and I are still looking out for those. Wait, no, it's a Max original. Never mind.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I take back everything I said. This is a Max original.
Max brand.
The Max brand, not the HBO brand. It's pretty good, dude. So I was confusing Michael with Andrew, 2 men who've been involved with dead wives and exes.
Yep.
Yo, just being in America, your last name being Peterson, not looking too well. That's all I'm gonna say.
Great.
Ah, terrible.
Not for
I know that
Adrian either, usually, but keep on.
No. So with this story, you've had a Netflix docu-series that kind of covered everything that was happening, and I believe they're going to get into these guys coming in and trying to film it, and they've already been introduced, which is very interesting to see the documentarians that will eventually make their series already being involved in this drama series of it.
Yeah.
So then will there be someone documenting the filming of the drama series that was documenting the... I don't know how far it goes, but what I really enjoy about this one, or what I find really interesting, is the way that the director is able to capture a lot of these moments. Let me pull up some of the other stuff that he's done. We had talked about Antonio Campos last week when we had mentioned he did The Devil All the Time, which I really liked. He's done Simon Killer. I mean, the homie was producer on Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, so you know he's dealing with a good crowd. He does a very interesting thing in where you are given just glimpses of how unsturdy the staircase may be. Some looks between, some of the siblings with each other that makes you go, wait, you're playing like L.A. Noire with these actors, but also with the flashback moments that they show you where you're like, maybe the railing is a little too unstable. Maybe they were always drinking a little too much, but it doesn't push you to a degree in where it's kind of answering the question for you or manipulating you to think something. It's leaving you these little breadcrumbs, these little clues. So that's been really cool to watch.
So I am not deep into true crime, but this is like a pretty notable case. So I did watch the documentary years ago, and I've listened to some stuff about it. So
so you're aware of the story then?
I'm aware of the story, but I'm not like an expert on the story. I'm not going to try and like pretend I am. But in my recollection, it's one of those true crime stories where there are all these different possibilities. It was maybe this happened, maybe that happened, and like there's not really a conclusive conclusion, like a conclusive theory. Everybody has their own theory. And if that's what they're going for, that there's all these things to divert your attention, that seems like it's going the right way. So makes me more curious to check out the show.
It's more of a family drama than anything. So yeah, put it on your radar, Zach.
Very cool.
The Staircase.
Very cool. Our last bit of TV, I did want to mention Barry because it had a solid third episode, not necessarily one of their more remarkable episodes, but it did make me think of something that I love about this show in that they found a really interesting scenario in terms of where the Barry-Cousineau relationship got to in this episode. A scenario that I could have imagined them playing with that dynamic for a long time. And what is brilliant about a show like Barry is they will show that dynamic and then they will throw it away at the end of the episode because they are moving through story with like this efficiency and this ability to constantly surprise you. Like they do this great thing where they lead up not only the dynamic between Barry and Cousineau in this moment, but the context of the scene that they're acting in to have this thematic coherence. And then when everything feels like it should lead up to this one moment, they take a right turn or a left turn, I guess, in the opposite direction. It's just very smart writing, very efficient in a certain way. I don't know if it's the perfect word for it, but I really appreciate what Bill Hader is doing here. And it's just getting really dark this year. They're not leaving you feeling good after any of these episodes.
That third season, dude.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the direction things are heading on Barry.
Do you know how long they plan to run the show?
I think Bill Hader said that he wants to do a fourth season. So I don't know if they're going to do 4 and then finish it, but I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like a show that should last very long. But every time that I've been like, I don't know what they can do, they find new things to do.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for what we've been watching. Let us know what you're watching. And before we get into the new to see, I want to take a second to thank the Intercuties who support our show over on patreon.com/intercutpod. They are Ashley, Elizabeth, Ewan, Garrett, Josh, Julietta, and Tim. We've also got our Academy members, Cademan, Connor, Pete, Tushar, and Sean. And of course, the producer known only as Awkward. Thanks again for the support, and a reminder that you too can become a member of the Intercutie Plus team at patreon.com/intercutpod, where you can sign up for patron benefits like early access to Intercut episode outlines, access to the private Discord channels, or an invitation to our monthly patron Google meetings. Art, we're doing our monthly Google meeting today. What is on the agenda?
Probably a lot of Marvel talk. It's a perfect mix of people going, yes, this is what I wanted. No, this is what I wanted. And then other people going, they're on number what? But then we're also going to be playing some movie trivia. I have a bunch of movie trivia cards over here in the back.
Oh, cool.
A big movie quiz, and then going through action, Oscar movies. So even if you're not a big Marvel fan, we'll still be discussing a bunch of other stuff.
Looking forward to wiping the floor with some Intercuties later. Some
yeah,
Oscars
because he doesn't know the questions. So you're going to be facing Zach. Zach's not off the hook. He's not keeping score.
Exactly.
He's going to have to keep his
I'm a
score,
contestant.
So.
All right. We'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, thanks again to those Intercut patrons. And shout out to those of you who did leave or do leave reviews and stuff like that, because we really love when you leave us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts.
His eye had healed after you all left that 5-star
know,
review. I told you what the doctor ordered.
The medicinal power of 5-star reviews healed me. So thank you particularly to Yasin with 2 S's, who said, Art and Zach make the perfect duo. Quote, one of my favorite podcasts to listen to, so I had to finally leave a review and give them their well-deserved 5 stars. Yeah, look, I know some of you out there have been listening to us and supporting us, and I really do appreciate it, but like, the job's not done until we get that 5-star review on Apple iTunes, so please.
You gotta earn it, Zach.
Please.
You gotta earn it.
I'm sick, and I need the healing power.
Something. You need to hurt the other eye. You need to hurt the left eye this time.
All right, let us get into the new to see, where we talk about what is coming out, starting with Candy, the event, 5-night event over on Hulu. A very intriguing release strategy here in that they're doing 5 episodes in 5 consecutive nights. So the debut is tonight.
I love it.
Tonight, May 9th, and the finale is Friday, May 13th.
Yes, sir.
They sent us some screeners, but I don't know if you've had a chance to get to any of them. I haven't had to yet.
You're starring Jessica Biel?
Yeah.
Then I saw a couple. Candy is really good. I love her performance in it. I love the way that it's shot. I love the way that it's edited. It is one of those, crime thriller procedural stuff yet again, because it is a true story. But I am very excited to see these in full quality first and foremost, because I thought that a lot of these compositions are fantastic, but I'm very curious to see the reception on a night-to-night basis when people don't have to wait the whole week, and you get to see how a discussion just goes from day to day, because this is another one where it's at first leaving it to the audience to try to put the pieces together on who murdered who. So Zach, get on it, man. I'm just glad that we have all the episodes so that I know what's going to happen on the next one. But like a lot of these, I've been waiting to just see them in full quality. Because just they're shot beautifully, dude. Candy, put that one on your radar.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this goes in terms of building audience interest, and whether or not like this gains momentum throughout the week. Because we've seen that like the not binge release strategy does benefit things in terms of their how much people continue to discuss them. But this is like somewhere between a weekly release and a binge release. Like this is almost like a binge release, but not quite there.
Yeah. So we've had we know the part A, part B. Those are usually, more extended. What did Ozark do? It was just like 2 months in between their part A, part B. We just talked about Bang Bang Baby from last week that released 6 on Prime this month. And then in 4 weeks, they're going to release the other half. It's this really interesting model. Let's not forget Netflix with the horror movies from last year for Fear Street, where they released those on a weekly basis as well. I like this. I like it being a nightly thing, dude.
Everybody's trying to crack the audience code.
Yeah, just spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. We'll see.
We will see. Jessica Biel's like one of your secret girls, isn't she? You really like, what was that, Servant?
It ain't a secret, but yeah, 100%, bro.
over on Netflix on May 11th, we're getting 42 Days of Darkness.
It's The Sinner, by the way.
Oh, The Sinner.
I just realized.
The Sinner.
Yeah, I was like, Servant, The Sinner.
Right. My bad. 42 Days of Darkness, as well as Operation Mincemeat, a World War II set drama about British intelligence officers with a pretty interesting cast, including Colin Firth, Matthew Macfadyen, and Kelly MacDonald. This one did seem pretty interesting. They sent us the screener, but I just haven't had a chance to get around to it. But like, this is one of those ones that maybe I'll go watch with my dad because he's going to really enjoy, the spycraft and the subversion of intelligence powers. I don't know. It seems cool.
There was a Munich one from last February as well.
Yeah.
It has it has the week in theaters. And then it goes directly to the SVOD on Netflix.
Exactly.
So these British wartime dramas, they've found their little tunnel here. So
Yeah.
look out for it.
Also on May 11th on Netflix, Our Father. This is a documentary about a doctor who inseminated a lot of his patients with his own sperm. This is a story we've seen in the news, unfortunately, more than once, but apparently this is about the most notorious offender of that. I got a chance to catch the documentary, and it's an obviously captivating story. I think I just am a little bit mixed on the use of this style of recreations in documentaries. It always just makes it feel a little bit like it's trying too hard to tell you how to feel in certain moments and how certain moments went down. It just like I see the artifice of it. And it pulls me out of what would otherwise be really emotional material because I feel the recreation of it. But the story itself is obviously gripping.
I thought this was about the other guy. It turns out it's about another guy, so that's pretty messed up, dude.
Yep. Hate to see it. Then on May 12th, we have the start of a couple different film festivals, including the EarthX Film Festival, festival about technology in the future and nature and all sorts of interesting things. They have a pretty cool lineup worth checking out. That festival runs from May 12th through May 15th. Also, starting on May 12th at the Film Lincoln Center here in New York is the New York African Film Festival. This one is running through May 17th, featuring a bunch of different films from Africa, interesting art films. So I would highly check it out. I'd recommend checking it out. Anytime Lincoln Center puts together programming like that, it tends to be good. May 13th, the Bling Empire returns for season 2. A lot of people seem to like that reality show over on Netflix. That's what Netflix is good for nowadays, or tacky reality shows. But also, Apple TV Plus is back in their bag with The Essex Serpent, a miniseries starring Tom Hiddleston and Claire Danes. Very interesting looking show. I don't know if you've had a chance to check out any of it yet. This is one of those shows that I had on my radar, but it's just kind of gone it's gone underneath or lower on the priority list because there's just all these other things I'm trying to keep up with.
Dude, yeah.
I'm an episode behind on Better Call Saul now. I got to go watch that like as soon as we're done today.
Disappointing. I had to multitask. But yeah, I got to catch the trailer to this one.
Yeah.
And it looks interesting. Very like, it looks interesting. I'll just leave it at that. We'll see. I worry it may be a little too melodramatic, but I have to catch it. That's what the series is for.
Yep.
Hopefully it builds up.
In theaters on May 13th, Firestarter. It's also going to be available on Peacock. This is the new Stephen King adaptation from Blumhouse. You got Zac Efron in the cast, as well as Kurtwood Smith, Sidney Lemon, and a newcomer, I think, Ryan Kira Armstrong. You'd think like a big Blumhouse horror movie starring Zac Efron might be getting some kind of push, but I've barely seen any promotion for this movie.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. They do have the original that's on Peacock right now. So if you wanted to see Drew Barrymore's take on this as a little girl, you can go catch that one. I'm gonna try to catch it in theaters, man, but I'm very curious to see what Universal's gonna be doing. This is one of their biggest releases of this month, and yeah, it's going straight to Peacock.
That's the thing is like there's not a whole lot that I can use my AMC A list on right now, so I might just do Firestarter because so I don't.
What do you
feel
mean?
like I'm
Doctor Strange 2D, Doctor Strange 3D,
right.
Doctor Strange Dolby, Doctor Strange IMAX.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
For maybe there's a 4DX out there somewhere I can do. I don't know.
Never know.
Then going to a film that we talked about after Sundance that I think first premiered over in Venice in 2021 is Happening. The really riveting French drama about a student who gets an unwanted pregnancy in France in the 1960s, where abortion is still illegal. This movie became the movie that every film critic decided to recommend after the news of Roe v. Wade dropped, which, I don't know, man, just depressing, and I don't really want to get into it now, but yeah, maybe if you need your mind changed on some stuff, you should watch this movie, and maybe if you just want to despair about the state of the world, you can watch this movie too. Fascinatingly filmed, and I thought beautifully acted. Not sure how to pronounce the lead actress's name, but she's so good here.
Good film.
Yeah. Il Buco is also out in theaters in New York. I've seen a lot of people talking about this one because it did the festival circuit, although I haven't had a chance to catch it, so I'm curious about that one. The Innocents is the new IFC Midnight movie that's going to be in theaters, digital, and VOD. There's also The Lincoln Lawyer hitting Netflix. This is a series. It's not the Matthew McConaughey movie, but it's based on the same property. I don't know if you got a chance to catch any of this. They sent us some screeners. I put on the pilot, and like it seems competent enough. It's just kind of that style of procedural TV stuff that reminds me of like stuff like Burn Notice or Suits that I just never really got into, even though I know a lot of people who love those shows. Like I'm not trying to say it as like a disparaging thing. There's just like a tone and a like case of the week type of vibe that is not the type of TV that I typically get into.
Netflix. It's Netflix's USA original, practically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't get to catch that one. I caught Time Traveler's Wife, which I think we'll be able to say something about eventually.
Ooh.
Big Time Traveler's Wife fan, bro.
All right.
Big.
All right.
About time they got a show.
Also in theaters, Lux Aeterna, the Gaspar Noé film, which is finally getting a stateside release, even though it is from a few years ago. Yeah, it was in New York last weekend. I think it's in LA this weekend as it continues to expand across the country.
Next week we'll let you know when it's in New York,
Yep.
and then we'll let you, or LA,
Yep.
or Vegas,
Yep.
Austin.
Yep.
We'll just mention Lux Aeterna until the end of the year.
Then there's also Mao hitting theaters. I thought this one was already out, but I keep getting new emails about it, so I guess not. I think you like this documentary on Bruce Mao a little bit more than I did, but interesting, I'm sure, if you're curious about his work. And then there's also Monstrous, the new movie with Christina Ricci hitting theaters and VOD. The one that I know you were curious about that's hitting theaters on Friday is Montana Story. What are you interested in with this one?
This is a movie starring Haley Lou Richardson.
Good enough.
It's also a pretty good movie. So you pretty much have two siblings who live in Montana, and now that their father is dying, they have to, come together and figure out what they're going to do. And I think the way that it branches out, not just as a story about siblings, a story about abuse, but as a story about different people who find homes in different places and how they're forced to kind of, maneuver around what other people do. I like the performances in it. I thought that was really interesting, very emotional, and it shot in 35 millimeter. We got it we got a screening link for it.
Yeah.
Looked beautiful. Shot in Montana. But damn, I kind of want to catch this on the big screen. It may be a little too slow for some people, but it gets a thumbs up from me. I thought, the climax is a very simple movie, but the emotional climax between the siblings, along with the cinematography, was very well made.
Might have to check.
Very good sound design as well.
Might have to check if I get that in my.
It expires,
my
I think, tonight, Zach. So make sure you get that.
Okay, shoot. Okay, I'm going to get on that. Also out in theaters this weekend.
It's a good week for movies.
Not something that you're going to be able to use your AMC A-list on, I'm pretty sure. Pleasure, the film that debuted at Sundance 2021 from director Ninja Thyberg, about a young woman who travels from Sweden to Los Angeles with goal of becoming the world's next big porn star. I really was into this one when we caught it a year and a bit ago now, I guess. I thought there's just a really interesting vibe to this film in the way that it's like shows the commitment and the sacrifice required for this particular dream. I think I called it like the whiplash for the porn industry when we saw it. I'm very curious to see it now too, because it went through a bit of a saga where A24 bought it and wanted to make a R-rated cut and then disputed with the director, and then Neon took it from A24. So I'm glad we're getting the original version.
Hopefully
it seems
it's safe, man. Yeah, no, hopefully it's safe, because they went through that when they did Possessor as well, where there's a difference between Possessor and then the Possessor Uncut, which is what I think people saw in festivals. But Pleasure got a big thumbs up from me. So if you're not someone who's, there's a parental warning, I guess, or just a warning in general. Obviously, it deals with the sex industry, so know that. But if you are okay with that, it is a profound drama, in my opinion. I think the performances are great and really good direction.
Absolutely. Also available on Friday, May 13th, is Netflix's upcoming comedy Senior Year, starring Rebel Wilson as a 37-year-old who awakes after a 20-year coma to return to high school. They're basically doing like a broad comedy version of Strangers with Candy, or what's that one? Strangers with Candy, I think that was called, with the Amy Sedaris one, which is so much more subversive and weird and funny than this one looks. Which just depresses me a little bit. I don't know. I don't have like this distaste for Rebel Wilson that I think a lot of people do, but it's stuff like this that makes it hard to argue against it.
I'm not allowed to say anything. We caught it, and we checked to see when the embargo was. This movie comes out May 13th, and May 13th at 12:01 a.m. is when we're allowed to talk about it. So
take for what you will.
That may be a good thing, that may be a bad thing.
Yep.
Not a lot to say.
And then finally, Tankhouse is out on the 13th. All I know really about this one is that Richard Kind and Christopher Lloyd are in it. I like those guys. Maybe I'll like this movie too. I don't know. I'll try and check it out and find out. Then over on May 15th, we are getting Conversations with Friends. This is the new Hulu limited episode series. It's a binge release that has a bunch of familiar faces in it, including Joe Alwyn, Jemima Kirk, and Sasha Lane. I know they got that new Phoebe Bridgers song attached to it. I think this one is like from the same writer as Normal People, or the book as Normal People. I don't really know. Maybe somebody can correct me, but there's some like Normal People vibes going on here. Sally Rooney, is that it? Yeah, from the writer of the book of Normal People. So I'm sure that's going to be catnip for a lot of people.
Normal People fans are big.
They're really big fans of Normal People.
They're pretty massive.
I don't know if I've ever met somebody who thought Normal People was just good. Yeah, I kind of liked it.
No, they go crazy for that, bro.
So yeah, Conversations with Friends, check it out. And then
ain't Joe Alwyn the Taylor Swift guy?
Yeah.
Isn't that her boy?
That's Billy Lynn of Halftime Walk fame.
Well, yeah, it is. Ew. All right. Well, that's a twofer for you then. You're gonna have the Swifties and you're gonna have the normal people fans on there. I'm sure there's not much overlap between the two fan bases.
Also on the 15th, Fangoria is doing their 2022 Chainsaw Awards. I didn't really know about this, but I dig Fangoria and I dig Shudder, so maybe I'll have to check this out. We got our own awards coming out this week too, so big week for 2022 awards, I guess.
Sounds good.
All right, but let's get into our picks for the week and give some recommendations for the people at home. Art, what are your picks this week?
Some of the stuff that I'm excited for, The Sadness is coming out on Shudder, which was a movie that played at Chicago Fest last year, and I believe it's a Korean zombie flick, and it looks crazy. They were checking IDs for that one as well because it's supposed to be so brutal. Got that one on my radar. But then Jazz Fest is also coming out in theaters. I came out of theater and I saw a bunch of posters for it. It got picked up by some pretty big producers, which I did not realize. Hopefully I'm able to pull it up over here. Fred Marshall is a director on it. Wow. Frank Marshall. Sheesh. That's a pretty big director if y'all don't know. But they got some big producers to come along with this as well. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to release this, if it's just going to be in theaters. But we caught this one at South by. It goes over the New Orleans Jazz Fest. And when they get to the food, bro, you can just smell it. And then some of the other movies that are coming out on the count of three.
Yeah, I forgot to add this.
It's getting a virtual release. So if that is not on your radar, this is a movie that, just like Pleasure, which is also another recommendation that I have, on the count of three premiered at the 2021 Sundance Film Festival. And finally, after his insanely great special and killing it on SNL, he's able to have his own release for a movie that didn't even have a poster for the longest time.
Yeah,
so shout out to Gerard. It's really good.
The directorial
Check that one
debut.
And
Chris Abbott is so good in it. So good.
We haven't seen
Sundance King.
Christopher Abbott in a minute. So yeah, I'm just excited that he's back. So on the count of three, Pleasure. Got to give the bigs up to Montana's Story. If you vibe with the trailer, try to catch it in a theater because it's beautifully shot. I don't know if there's 35 millimeter screens of it out there, but that's pretty good. And then I got Respect on Prime. Now that it's
the
out,
Jennifer
it's not bad.
Hudson, Aretha Franklin
The Jennifer
one?
Hudson one. Yeah, like it's not great.
Yeah.
It's too long and feels like it still doesn't cover a lot, but it's on Prime now. So just letting people know, because that was one of the contenders that it barely got its release, like barely got its like VOD release. So there is that. And then buy y'all tickets from Men. And if you work
hyped
for A24 in New York, get Zach a screening
Yeah,
because he has not been allowed to see it. All right.
Let me see Men.
We need to talk about Men.
Come on. I just want to go see Men. Yeah. Why are they taking Men away from me?
It's crazy, Zach.
So yeah, but Respect. I feel like those types of music biopics, like sometimes they're bad, but sometimes they're like a pretty solid, like entertaining, low stakes watch.
Good. She's talented, man. Yeah, because of her. Like I would say, she was better than some of the actresses that were nominated last year. I can say that much.
All right, very cool. I dig those picks. My picks are Winning Time. Now that it's finished its run, if you are into that binge release format, you got them all there. Like, it is just a very entertaining show. I really like the maximalist approach to story and style here, and yeah, I just want to keep recommending it. I'm also going to keep recommending Barry because it's just the show that I'm week to week I'm enjoying the most right now, and I've went back and rewatched the first two seasons in the last week because I'm just so hyped on it right now. It's very well done. It's very, very good stuff. But Pleasure is probably the movie that I'm most looking forward to watching or rewatching this week because it's been a little while, and I just remember really liking it out of Sundance last year. I also really liked On the Count of Three, so I guess I got to put that in my picks too. But I'm glad that you had it for me. Lots of good stuff, lots of stuff to watch there, but I think that's about all for this week's installment of the Weekend Must Watch. We will be back in like 15 minutes to go deep on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. But until then, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at Zshevich, Zshevich, and check me out on YouTube at youtube.com/multiplexshow. Art, where can people find more from you?
You can find me at Elemy Explain on Twitter, YouTube, Letterboxd, or for the next couple of days going back to watch Doctor Strange just so I can see that IMAX special clip of Top Gun, Zach. Please tell me you've bought your IMAX tickets to Top Gun, bro.
I did. I am ready. I'm hyped. I could not be more hyped, man. That looks so good on the big screen.
Disgusting.
Like, it's good. Here's my theory. I was saving this because I didn't want to tell you before. I think that this is going to be one of like the 10 highest grossing movies of all time by the time that it's done. I think people are going to go wild for this thing in theaters. I think it's hit the right time of nostalgia where the group who were young when the original came out are all old enough to have kids to want to bring to this too, and that there is a group of people who just want to see a big, crazy blockbuster that used real fighter jets for these scenes. I think word of mouth is going to be nuts on it, and I think it's going to make all the money in the world.
Well, let me start that now, because that special screening little clip that they show you before Doctor Strange, buy your IMAX tickets. Buy them fast.
I'm hyped.
Don't let that go to waste.
You can listen to every episode of the Intercut podcast on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcatcher is. I happen to like Overcast. And then make sure you're subscribed not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intercutpod, where you can watch our bright smiling faces as we break down the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of the Intercut Weekly Must-Watch streaming on our YouTube channel every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And please leave us a comment, like the video. Consider heading over to iTunes to give us a much-requested 5-star review. And I'm going to keep shouting out the people in Ecuador for putting us on those TV and film podcast charts because they keep doing well. Thank you. Gracias. Like our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter pages, support our Patreon. All of them are at Intercut Pod, and you'll get updates throughout the week from Art, from me, from all the guests that we feature here on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, Larry Bird won the vote for Rookie of the Year 63-3. Same year that Magic Johnson won the Finals MVP.